The problem with hiring freelance video editors is that you don't know they're bad until you've wasted weeks of time and thousands of dollars. I made this mistake when I first started, and I see startup founders that make it every single day. But after working with over 50 video editors, I've discovered something that changed everything. Most founders think that the key to finding a great video editor is looking at their portfolio, which couldn't be more wrong. In fact, there's a secret hiring method that the top 1% of founders use to find killer video editors for cheap, and once you know it, you'll never hire video editors the same again. So let's get into choosing the best video editor, finding the best video editor for your team. So some key issues that you need to consider is that the samples that you see, their portfolio that the editors have is not going to be accurate. Now, oftentimes that you see it is what we call spec work. Spec work is just there was no time, there was no budget, there was no limitation. They had weeks to work on this, and they just did it in their spare time and made it look as cool as possible. And then they made it, and that's like, hey, that's my portfolio. What you want to see is actual client work that had a budget, that had a timeline, that had a deadline, that had feedback, and something that they're not like 100% proud of. That's the actual work that you want to see. Hey, if you, sure, yeah, like unlimited time, unlimited resources, you can do all this amazing work. Great, I know what your skill set is. But we have to do this in a week, and I only have $200 to do this. Can you do it? That's a different story. Many editors will show group projects too, like, hey, I was the assistant editor on this project, or I was, a part of it. I edited this part of the video. I didn't do the whole thing. Or you think that they can do like 3D animation, and you're like, actually, I just worked on the beginning part. I didn't actually do that 3D animation that you're looking at. What I think really matters is, can they edit in your company style? When you give them an assignment, when you give them enough context, can they pull off what you want them to pull off? Looking at the past work is not going to tell you. The most important thing also too is like, can they communicate properly, and can they meet deadlines? That is going to be probably more important than the actual work that they deliver. Here's something this is my little unconventional route, and I recommend that everybody do this. The biggest problem that I see is that you will hire one editor only, and you will work with them for a week or two. You'll give them a video project. You'll spend money with them. You'll spend time with them. You'll vet them, have all these communication flubs, and then you'll get the project back. You'll get the video back, and you will be okay, satisfied with it. And then at the very end of that project, you have to then decide, do I keep this video editor or do I keep looking? And if the answer is I have to keep looking because I'm not happy, well, then now you have to go spend another 2 to 3 weeks doing this all over again until you find a video editor that you like. So why not just hire 3 to 4 video editors at the same exact time, hand them all similar projects. I wouldn't say hand them all the same project, hand them all similar projects, and then see how they do. They all work at the same time. It's all compressed into like a 10-day window. Yes, it'll be a little bit more expensive, but you're going to save a ton of time because at the end of that, you're going to see, of these 4 video editors, which one do you like the best? Which one did you like working with the best? Which one communicated the best? Which one was on time? Which one took your notes and actually did what you said that you wanted, rather than ignoring your notes or ignoring you or just being shitty at communication in general? And then you'll have a winner that you can choose, and then you'll have 3 other people that you can either 100% just fire and say, hey, no thanks, or you can say, hey, I'm not going to go with you now, but I would like to stay in contact with you. And now you've got some editors in the background in your back pocket in case your main editor drops out for some reason.
Let me guess, you're running a startup, you're stretched thin, and your site's not getting people to sign up. It's not your fault. You've got a million things on your plate, and making a video showing off how cool your product is probably isn't one of them. But here's the thing, a great video can make all the difference. It gets people to see what makes your product awesome and gets people excited to sign up and become a customer, a paying customer. Click the link down below, book a call with me, and let's make a video that does the hard work for you.
Only one person, so you can't really also compare the work to. Like if you give them a similar project, like, hey, here are 3 or 4 YouTube videos that I worked on, chop them down into TikToks, and let's see how they do. You're gonna start to see like, okay, yeah, this person's clearly better. I like what this person's doing. And then you'll be like, hey, this work is great, but I had to bug them 4 times before they gave me the work, and they didn't tell me when they were going to be finished, so that wasn't fun. I don't care about them. Again, it's testing multiple people at once so that you're not having to do this, going back and because when you get to that second person, if you were to do the traditional route of like, work with them for 10 days, and then go find another editor. On that second editor, you are just tired, desperate. You're like, dude, I don't even want to go through this process again. Like, all right, fine. Like, you're good enough. And you don't want to settle for a good enough. You want to find a great video editor. Finding the right price for video editors. What price do you search for if you're on these platforms? What do you filter by? What is your budget? The cheapest editors, you probably already know this, need the most hand-holding. And they're going to cost you more time because they don't really care about the project, and they're often inexperienced, amateurs, just starting out. So you are going to have to give them a lot of feedback. You're going to have to go through a lot of notes. You're going to have to go through a lot of different revisions to try to get what you want. And they might just be so far at the very beginning stage of their journey, they just don't have the ability to try to do what you want them to do. And it might just take them a little bit more time to do it. And that means it's going to waste your time. So on the cheaper side, maybe avoid. Middle price. This is usually what I think is the most bang for your buck. Anywhere between $30 and $70 per hour is going to be somebody that they're hustlers. They've now graduated past the cheapo route, and now they're like, I can do this. I can make a full-time living with this kind of money, and so they're a little bit more hungry. They're ready to hustle for you. On the higher end side, anything over $70, $80, $100 an hour, $150 an hour. Those people might be too busy, or they might be just like too good. Like, I'm too good for you and don't really care about your tiny little YouTube project. So they might not give it enough time or attention or detail, or they might be making so much money from you per hour that they're just farming out to another video editor who's making $20 an hour. And then they're just going to take the profit from that and then just hand you a video that they didn't even actually edit. That's how it works. Best choice is going to be finding a skilled editor who hasn't raised their prices yet, who hasn't gotten too good. So if you're like, there's something called like rising talent. That's always a good filter to add. Somebody who's on the up and up. And another person to kind of look for is someone who just left agencies or someone who just left their full-time job, because they have what I call like professional etiquette. They know what it's like to work a full-time job, to show up, to communicate, to be in Slack, to work 9 to 5. Sometimes when you talk with some of these full-time freelancers who have done nothing but freelance their entire life, they might be up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. So you're having to message them at 6 a.m. or they reply at weird hours, or you don't know, or they're not even online between 9 to 5. So it's hard to like even say anything or get some feedback with them. So maybe consider that. Creating a good test project. I would not make some fake, phony bullshit test. I would actually do something that you are planning to throw up on your social media, that you're planning to publish to YouTube, that you're planning to use in your video ads, whatever it may be. Don't just do like, hey, I put all this B-roll together, I put it into a folder, let me see what you can do. Like, don't just, because then they're going to be like, well, what do you want me to do with it? Like, hey, make it look cool. Like, dude, no, even the best video editor can't just make it look cool because that's what you want them. So like, make it a real project that you're actually going to have stake in the game, where if they sucks or if this video looks bad, you're going to not post it. So make it a real thing. Make it a YouTube video, make it ads, shorts, whatever it may be. And make the deadline real, like realistic. Like if say you are trying to find a YouTube editor, you record on Monday, you need it by Friday, you hand it off on Tuesday. Hey, I need this by Friday. Can you do it by Friday? And to see how they work under that kind of conditions. Warning signs when hiring a video editor. Don't ask questions right away. Any video editor, when you hire them, you give them a project and they say, yep, sounds good, is actually a red flag. Like, you might think that they're just being enthusiastic and happy-go-lucky, when really, if a person who doesn't ask a question is a person who is not interested in that job, is not curious. Like, a good question means that you're curious about the project. You want to know a little bit more. You want to know how to make this project best. Like, what goes into this? What do I need to know? What details, what context should I be knowing before I dive into something like this? That's a good indication. They say yes to everything without discussing details. They are an order taker, a waiter at a restaurant. I don't need a waiter at a restaurant. Well, in a sense, I do need a waiter at a restaurant, but I also need the chef in the background. So I need a combined waiter and chef. I don't need someone that's just going to take orders and just hand it off or just blindly follow these orders. They respond only to you. They never reach out themselves. That is a red flag. If you are always the one that's having to initiate contact, if you're always the one who's having to bug them, say, hey, when's this due? When's it coming out? Can I get some updates? that's a red flag. They should be proactively communicating with you. They should be proactively telling you, here's the updates for the day. Hey, sorry I was delayed. Hey, hey, it's Monday. Let me tell you what I'm doing this week. They should be pinging you rather than you bugging their ass. They don't try to understand your brand. If you look, I understand getting it wrong in the first attempt and the second attempt and the third attempt, but if I've told you this multiple times and I've given you the brand guidelines and the brand Bible, and you still don't really understand what we're doing or don't really care to understand what we're doing, probably a red flag. Benefits of testing multiple editors. Again, it creates healthy competition. This is something you could do. You could tell the other editors, and I've had it been told to me as a video editor, like, hey, you are being considered for this position, but we also are working with 2 other video editors. So just don't want you to be aware of that. And that's kind of like, it kind of sucks. It's kind of manipulative, but it revved me up when I heard that. I was like, oh, cool. There's 2 other people. I'm about to kick their ass, and I'm about to be the best I can. It shows those who think for themselves. If you tell them and they just kind of don't react, or they kind of fall back to the background, then they probably weren't hungry enough for the job. So you don't want that video editor. And also the other benefit too, we just talked about it, of multiple editors, is that you have a backup option. Not just to say like, hey, we're going to replace the number 1 editor, but if the number 1 editor is not available that week, we've got a number 2. Or if we need some more like smaller kind of mini projects, we can hire number 2. Why good communication skills beat video editing skills? You can teach video editing skills. I can show them a YouTube video. I can send them into a video editing course, but I cannot really teach them how to communicate well. I cannot teach them to respond properly, how to respond timely, how to be proactive, how to take the initiative. I can't teach that. I can tell people to do a little bit more, but if they don't do it, they don't have that within them, I can't really help you. Poor communication takes up too much of your time. You're hiring a video editor to take this off your plate. You're not hiring a video editor to add more shit to your plate. So this should be like, they should be making your life easier. And if they're not making your life easier, go back to editing the videos yourself. And the best editors understand marketing. They don't just understand editing. You have to find someone, like, it's hard to find, but you've got to find a video editor that isn't just the kind of, they're a whiz kid Premiere person. Like, they kind of have to understand how your video works in the context of your company, how it plays. They watch this video and then this happens. They watch this video and then they go and buy your app. So they have to know where they fit into this big machine that is your company. Using different websites. So there's Fiverr, there is Upwork, and I've had some success recently with Twitter. And if you post on Twitter, hey, attention, hiring video editors, you're going to get a ton of DMs. Half of them are shit, but there actually other people are pretty good. And what's nice about using Twitter is that you're also in your feed a couple days later are going to get recommended good video editors. You're going to start to see people's highlights reel, demo reels, portfolios in your Twitter feed. So what I usually do is I will favorite those people, and then I will then go and reach out to those people. I'll say like, hey, just saw your demo reel, just saw your videos. These look amazing. Can we chat? Can we talk real quick? I'd love to hire you, or I've got a project coming up. Those are great ways. So Upwork. Fiverr is more on the cheaper route. Fiverr is more like one-time gig because you just pay. It's called Fiverr. It's like $5 an hour or for $5 flat. For Upwork, though, Upwork is a little bit more expensive. It's a little bit more project-based, but it's also a really good place to find your long-term editor. If you are really considering, I need a video editor and I want to kind of commit some resources to this, Upwork's probably better because that's probably more where your professionals live and people that are going to be a little bit more stable. And then Twitter's kind of Wild West, but there's gonna be some good people out there. It's just another way to find great people out there. Okay, so your first week that you're hiring people, here's the blueprint. You need to show them your brand style, show them examples. You need to set up a project management system, whether that's Notion, whether that's Google Drive, Dropbox, or Frame.io, wherever all the shit lives. All the brands, the assets, the footage, the communication, the notes, the revisions, the updates, the exports, the final video files. You need to have a place where all that lives. And you can ask them and consult with them on what they normally do if you're like totally lost about this whole like file folder shit. But You need to have some kind of place where the entire project lives. You need to give them feedback on the first 3 projects. You need to write out their feedback, do a video of their feedback, do specific timestamps for the feedback, like, hey, at 10 seconds, I need this to change from this to this, and write everything down for future editors. This is going to help you so much. Like your editor that you're working with right now might drop out eventually. That's fine, but at least you have everything documented. You have the brand Bible, how you want your videos edited. All that stuff is documented so that when the next person comes along, or when your number 2 comes along, you can just hand them this document, this PDF, this Notion page, whatever it is, and they can kind of start to get it. They can start to understand who you are as a company. Managing your freelance editors. You need to be clear about when and how to communicate with you. That kind of goes along with the project database system that you're setting up. Is it Slack? Is it WhatsApp? Should they be checking in with you? Should they be attending meetings with you? You need to be very clear about this. You need to let them make creative choices within the rules that you create. You don't need to be a hard ass. You don't need to be a stickler about all this stuff. It's going to take time. I work with a video editor, and for editing my YouTube videos, it probably took him like 5 or 6 videos to like kind of start to get it and understand my style to the point now I can just hand the video file over and they 100% get it and they can fly with it. I don't have to like, hey, let's change this, let's change this. Now it's just like they hand me the video, I watch it like, yep, looks good, bam, just like we talked about, and I'm done. So you have to be patient with this stuff. You have to work through the stuff. It's going to get there. It's going to get better. They're learning, you're learning how to communicate. But I would say this, everything, every mistake, every flaw, everything that they didn't do or forgot to do, you have to, as the business owner, put that back on yourself. I could have done something better. I could have communicated something more clearly. I could have asked questions. I could have provided more resources or context or assets. It's all on you. So I think that is a healthy way to look at this, that it's not them, it's not their fault. Fuck them. They fucked this. You know, it's like, dude, it's you. You didn't tell them what to do. It's like a ChatGPT prompt. It's like garbage in, garbage out. If you gave them shitty stuff, they're going to give you shitty stuff. When to end working relationships, or when to fire your video editors. If they miss deadlines without telling you in advance, probably need to talk about firing them. If they get defensive when you give them feedback, this is not about, like, I've had that happen. Or like, hey, I'm just telling you about the video. I'm not talking about you. This is not a personal attack. Let's just back up for a second and talk about the work itself. I don't, like, personal feelings aside. Let's talk about the video, because that's what we're here for. If their work quality isn't consistent, if you thought it was going to look like this and look amazing, and then it's just kind of trailed off as the weeks have gone by, let's have a conversation. And then if they ignore important brand details after you've already educated them and after you've already given them enough context, if they're still just not getting it, even though you've told them over and over and over and over to do this one thing and make sure this one, it's like, after that, you kind of be like, dude, I don't think it's going to work out. Okay, so your 60-day plan for your video content after you have your editors. The first 2 weeks, you're going to test out those 2 to 5 editors, give them similar projects. You could tell them that they're in competition, see who's the best, choose your winner, choose the best one, number 2. And then the next 2 weeks after that is where you start to choose and train your main editor, get them onboarded, get them understanding who you are, what your products are, what your product does. And then weeks 5 to 8 beyond that, that's when you kind of start to write down your process. You might want to find a backup video editor if you want to add to them or give them kind of an assistant to work with you. But yeah, again, documenting everything, Loom videos, PDFs, all that stuff. And then month 3 and on, the 90 days beyond, is to just increase your output. Like, now you got it. You got a system. They understand everything. So now it's just like, dude, we're good to go. Just like dump more stuff into the top of the machine so that it can start cranking out stuff for you.
You're probably running a startup. You're busy building. You're busy pitching, putting out fires. The last thing that you have time for is figuring out why people aren't signing up. It's not your fault. Most sites don't do a great job of showing off what makes your product awesome. But that's where we can help. A great video can show your audience exactly why they need your product and get them excited to take action. So click the link down below, book a call with me, and let's make a video that does the hard work for you.